Good afternoon, everyone. So great to be up here with the two of you. I'm really looking forward to hearing about this business. Can we, why don't you start by telling us kind of the background to how Urban Stems got started? What was the inspiration?
Sure, but before I do, I heard it's someone's birthday today. Becca, happy birthday. This is from the Urban Stems team.
Thank you. I don't know if I can accept gifts. Thanks. It's the perfect birthday.
You don't want us to sing? Because I thought...
No.
Okay, no singing, okay. So I was living in New York, and I was in a long-distance relationship with a woman in Philadelphia. And I sent a lot of flowers because, you don't have that many options when you're... And I just had bad experience after bad experience, and I kind of crescendoed. On her birthday, I sent her a bouquet to surprise her, and I held off on calling, waiting for that phone call inbound. I know, it's dumb. Predictably, the flowers never showed up. I was almost broken up with.
Were you like sending her the receipt? Like, no, really?
No, like, look, this is the FTD receipt. I was just at a certain point, it was like, it cannot be, I must be really unlucky, but it really can't be this bad. And I started talking to friends, and they all had the same experience. So I called up one of my best friends from college, who we've started companies together in sites before, I implored him to look deeper into this industry with me. And what we found was that it's a industry that hasn't been changed in 100 years.
Wow.
When you think about e-commerce, it's made everything cheaper and better, but with online floral, it's actually made it worse and more expensive.
Do you have a theory about why it was an outlier in that regard?
It's highly profitable for 1-800-Flowers and FTD and all the current players.
Interesting.
Yeah, and when you look at structurally why, it makes complete sense. The incentives are backwards for the florist, and there's so many layers that it adds cost to the end consumer.
Okay. So what did you do about that?
So we basically decided to create the best experience possible. So for us, that's, you pull out your phone, you go to urbanstems.com, you pick from our limited selection. We'll have those flowers in an hour to your recipient. Our courier takes a photo of your bouquet outside your recipient's door and texts that to you as the delivery is happening, so that you know that those look like what you ordered and you know exactly when it's happening, so you avoid the problem that I had. The flowers last for 2 weeks because they're only a couple days off the farm. And it's all starting at $35 with free delivery, no fees.
How do you get them from the farm to the door so quickly?
So a lot of planning. It's very simple for the customer, but the back end is very complex. So we have farms that we send the ingredients down to, or we send the recipes down to. We have one of the former White House florists who designs the bouquets. They're put together at the farm level. We have them in our distribution centers in all our cities, and then when you place the order, one of our couriers will come pick it up from our distribution center and take it out to you.
Wow. I mean, it seems especially complicated with good flowers, which are both fragile and vulnerable to wilting and so on. So that it must just have to be such a tight process.
It is. When we started, we started with let's create the best possible experience for all our customers, and we kind of worked backwards to figure out how to do that. And that. All the processes, all the supply chain, everything that goes in is super, super complicated, much to our chagrin. But it is, at the end of the day, anything is possible if you just start with that, this is what we're going to deliver to the customer. You can build everything else, even if it is hard.
Wow. So I know that your firm is one of the leading investors in Urban Stems. Can you tell us, why was this a good fit for you guys? What were you looking for in a small company?
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So our firm focuses on the consumer, and we are very interested in companies that generate high levels of consumer passion. That's a major filter for us. And as a result, we find that if you generate that, you tend to have very loyal customers. You tend to have very happy employees because those values are reflected in the organization itself. And so, our firm, we're investors in things like Kind Healthy Snacks, if you've ever had that, Airbnb, Pinterest, custom make some things locally here, the Jose Andres restaurants, things that have, again, very, very high levels of affinity. So that's our first cut, right? And then from there, we really have three lenses. One is a kind of a general macro lens, which is, is the market big? Is it, touching consumers? Is it growing? And obviously a mobile delivery thing like that with a lot of e-commerce components to it is a fit. And then you'd say there's a kind of a meso level, from the macro to the meso, which is the team experienced? Are they passionate? Do they care really a lot about product? Do they have a lot of domain expertise in these sorts of things? And then you go to a micro level, which is what are the terms? Is there the kind of relationship that we like to have with the company?
Yeah.
Because we're very active investors. Are all those things there? So once we go through all of that and there's fit, that's how we found ourselves with Urban Stems.
Can you talk about that ongoing relationship? And I'd love to hear about it from both of your perspectives.
Do you want me to leave? Or you want to be honest about it? Because I can go.
Tell us the truth.
I honestly have nothing but good things to say.
Oh, okay. So from our perspective, a lot of venture firms kind of look the same from the outside, but many of them operate very differently. Some, put money in, they pick stocks, and their strategy is to not be very involved. A lot of the backgrounds of myself and my partners include operating businesses, so there's operating experience, and we tend to be very involved with the portfolio companies. From a strategy point of view, from a recruiting point of view, we are not involved at all in the day-to-day. I always say that venture capitalists are the anti-MacGyvers. MacGyver could do anything, right? He could make a bomb with a paperclip. Most VCs can't do anything. But we have a lot of experience looking in a bunch of different places, and there's a lot of pattern recognition and history there that we try and kind of integrate into the dialogue that we have with the company.
So one of their first portfolio companies is a company called Custom Ink, which most of you guys are probably familiar with. And Mark, the founder of Custom Ink, was one of our first investors, and he impressed on us the importance of not just taking any capital, but taking the right capital. It can make he had some personal experiences where he's seen both ends, where a bad partner can make your life horrible, can actually hold back the company, and good partners can really multiply your success.
But it must be hard to say no.
Right. I mean, especially if you don't have a lot of options.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you want to find the best, the best partners for your business. And so we were lucky to have that lesson imparted on us from a very early stage. And when we went out for our Series A, we actually had met SWaN and Legend before we actually even went out for a round. And it's almost like a marriage. You kind of want to feel out and understand how these people will contribute and how they'll be as you continue to grow the brand together. And we feel just extremely ecstatic, and I'm not just saying this because Todd's here, but we feel so incredibly lucky that we got to partner with SWaN and Legend. I mean, just as a small example, we've gone very deep into our farms. We're actually dictating what's being grown at the farms. And a couple partners from SWaN and Legend flew down with us to our farms, stayed at the farms for a couple of days, drank mezcal with us, helped us.
And those farms are where?
We'll do that here. This was in Mexico, though.
This was in Mexico?
We'll do it here.
And so they will go that far to help understand the relationships and help us build up what we need to build.
I did want to talk to you more about those farms because I know that you guys have a very close relationship with the farms and that you've really kind of sourced for particular things. Can you talk about what it is that you're looking for in farms and kind of what the values are there?
Yeah, so we try to build the best possible supply chain, and that to us there's two sides to it. It's one, are things responsibly grown? Are people being treated well? So our farms pay triple the minimum wage. They're Veriflora rainforest certified. We've built a soccer field for the workers. We try to. I don't know if you even knew that.
No, I did. I mean, just as an aside, that was part of our diligence, right?
Yeah, tell us about that.
Because we were very interested in what the relationship was and kind of the approach that Urban Stems was taking in that relationship. So it was important to us as investors to see that.
Because of the consumer interest in that?
Just because it's reflective of a set of values about the way you interact with the world. And again, just purely pragmatically, there is economic benefit into constructing your business that way.
Right.
So I'm sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you.
Yeah,
No, it's great.
And that was something actually that we found. None of the other firms that we were talking to asked us those questions. How are the workers being treated? What's actually going on the farm? They just said, oh, wow, you have a cost advantage over everyone else. That's great. These guys said that first, but then they went deeper and they asked, how are they being treated? Is this sustainable? Is what you're doing going to make the world a better place? And I think our answers were what interested them in us, and the fact that they asked the questions was what made us even more sold on them.
Great. And I know you started here in DC, is that right?
Yes.
And now you've expanded to a couple other markets.
New York, Queens, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, and Baltimore.
And how many employees do you have? How has the expansion gone? What does that look like in practice?
It's been great. Since we've partnered with SWaN and Legend, we've opened Philadelphia, we've opened Baltimore. 2.5 years ago, we were 5 people in a closet in a basement. We're now 60 people.
Wow.
So it's continuing to grow fast. If any of you guys are interested in flowers, please come talk to me afterwards.
And are you planning for new markets? Is that a goal to continue to expand?
Yes. Yeah. We're obsessed with delivering the best customer experience, and for us to do that, we go market to market. But you'll see that growth kind of accelerate in the next year.
Okay, so what are the challenges that are on the horizon for you guys coming up as you continue to grow?
I think there are a lot of things. It's scaling a business, and this is something you could probably talk to quite a bit. We are so lucky to have these incredible rock stars on our team. And we want to make sure that we keep bringing in people who are not only passionate about what we do, but can obviously help us take us to the next level. And I think, we also have this very strong culture that Todd talked about earlier that they look for in their portfolio companies. And as you scale, I think any founder will tell you it's really tough to scale culture.
Yeah. Especially across geographic space.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so I think those are the things that we're kind of working through right now and trying to figure out. But it's been a fun challenge so far.
And from your perspective, Todd, what are the things you're looking for?
Well, so that's a very important one. This national scaling, these guys employ their own bikers. That it's not like they're outsourcing any of that. So the whole experience, you have to be willing to accept the kind of constraint that comes with that to build the organization you want. So that's the first thing. I would say the second thing is when you get the kind of momentum that these guys are getting, your opportunity flow, the aperture widens very, very wide. So if you've established a brand in a community, you're trusted, then all of a sudden, do you sell more than flowers? And how do you sort of put the boundaries on that and figure out kind of where to stop versus where to expand?
So in contrast with your bad earlier experiences, do you have any particularly standout moments to you that you guys have been a part of? I mean, that must be a nice part of being a part of the flower business in particular.
Yeah, we often like to say that whenever we're having a bad day, we'll go run the flower deliveries ourselves. When we started, we was like, myself, Jeff, my co-founder, we were in like his mini Scion, with a bunch of Costco flowers in the back, doing the deliveries ourselves. But now that we have a full team, we'll still go take deliveries ourselves. We did that after the election, just to see the people go from maybe gloomy to a lot happier. But no, we literally go run flowers ourselves anytime we just want to see the effect that every bouquet has.
That's great. Congratulations to you. Thank you both so much for joining me here today, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you all.